Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone, and good evening. My name is Sadam Husain, PhD scholar, Department of Archaeology, University of Peshawar, and today's topic is about Gandhara, its history. So the term Gandhara is the first heading of this today's talk. The word Gandhara is variously mentioned in the ancient historical texts. So it is the combination of two Sanskrit words, and the first term Gand means fragrance, and the second one Hara, it defines a land or region. So thus combinedly the term signifies the land of fragrance, and the region of Gandhara is described as a lush green or flowery area, and the same kind of description also applies for Udiana, the present Swat, Kanishkapura or Parshapura, the present Peshawar, and Pushkalavati, the modern Charsadda. So such descriptions, they support the claim that these areas, they were flowery valleys and were generally known for their good smell. So the term Gandhara in history was reported for the first time in the Rig Veda, in which the term is used to identify clearly a region located on the northwest frontier of India. And the Atharva Veda, another literature of the Aryans associated with the Aryan dynasty, is the second notable compilation that mentions the Gandharans and relates them with the Mujavans. So after this, other significant references, they are found in the Apastamba, such as the Angas and Magadhas, and in the Saurata Sutryas, Heramyakisi and Bodhayana. So these historical evidences, they indicate that the Gandharans have inhabited the southern bank of the river Kuba, which is identified with the river Kabul now and since the Vedic age. So according to Vedic literature, the Gandharan dialect was celebrated for its purity, and a king of Gandhara is associated with the Orthodox Soma cult. And besides the accounts listed above, the accounts of the Aryans particularly, so the word Gandhara is also mentioned by several celebrated Greek historians, and the names of those Greek historians are Herodotus, Hecataios, Ptolemy and Strabo, and they record the word Gandhara in various forms such as Gandharoi, Gandharai and Gandharites. As far as the geography of Gandhara is concerned, so it is mentioned as a mountainous region which was located below the meeting point of the Hindu Kush and Himalayan mountain ranges. Gandhara country was rich in water resources and had dense forests in its various valleys. Thus situated between India, Central and Western Asia, the geographical location of the region was very much favorable for the development and promotion of cultural interactions across the above mentioned regions of the old world. And except for the small valleys and plains of the Gandhara region, the entire area is a mountainous trait for the major ranges such as Hindu Kush and Himalayas. In the north, through of great and lofty spurs in a southern direction. The celebrated Chinese pilgrim Husain, who is also known as Xuanzang, who traveled Gandhara or India in 629 to 647 AD, he mentioned that Gandhara encompassed the area located on the west of the river Indus, and it included the Peshawar Valley as well as the present-day Swat, Bunir and Pajawar. And the account of Husain, it was translated by Samuel Beale, and according to the English translation, the kingdom of Gandhara was about 1,000 li from east to west and 800 li from north to south. On the east, it was bordered by the river Indus, but the name used in the account of human song was River Sindh, and it's another variant of the River Indus. So the country was rich in cereal and had produced a variety of flowers and fruits. According to Muhammad Farooq Suwati, he was a renowned archaeologist and professor, meritorious professor at the Department of Archaeology, University of Peshawar, and now retired. He draws the geography of Gandhara is the huge landmass situated between the Indus and Oxus, and it shall be referred to as the Indus-Oxus region. So with the exception of short spans of imperial control by the Mauryans and by the Kushans, the whole of Gandhara region was divided into a number of small kingdoms, and these kingdoms, they were Udiana, Gandhara, Kapisa, Bactria, and others. So Dr. Farooq Suwati, he also enhance our knowledge about the Gandhara art, and he is of the view that the beginning of this art occurred in the Swat Valley, and there are a number of scholars who have different opinions, and some referred the beginning of Gandhara art to Mathura and some to Gandhara, the ancient Gandhara region. So the Peshawar Valley now consists of Peshawar and Mardan divisions, and each of which is subdivided into districts. While in the uplands, Swat has become a district of the Malakand division, which also administers the Malakand and Majawar agencies. And east of the Indus, some sites they lie in Taxila and Haripur, Abbottabad, Mansehra, Pattagram districts of the present Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. And the new explorations by the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums under the leadership of Professor Dr. Ehsan Ali back into the previous decade has brought to light a number of Gandharan sites beyond the Kotal Pass in the Kuhat district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Though the word Gandhara is mentioned for the first time in the Rig Veda, but the prehistory of this region begins with the Middle Paleolithic artifacts which were recovered at the lowest levels of Sangau Cave, Mardan, and the site was discovered by Professor Ahmad Sandani, who was the chairman and founder of the Department of Archaeology, University of Peshawar. The site was excavated in 1962 and 63, and later the report was published a year or two after the completion of the excavation. The first period of Sangau Cave that is dated by Ahmad Sandani to 35,000 before present, and it was followed by period 2, which is attributed to the upper Paleolithic, which dated between 30,000 and 10,000 before present. So the third period is described as Mesolithic, and it is dated to 10,000 before the present day. Other Mesolithic sites are found within the Gandhara region. They are Jamalgadi, rock shelter present at Mardan, and Khanpur Cave. They are situated at Haripur. So in addition to Sangau Cave, a number of other dwelling sites they are found at Thangunao and Bajawar Agency, and it was reported by the archaeological team from the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Department of Archaeology, University of Peshawar. And the team collected stone tools outside the cave, and that can be confidently attributed to the Middle Paleolithic period. The Mesolithic era was succeeded by the New Stone Age, which is also called as the Neolithic Age, and the Neolithic age in or around Gandhara is well known from the sites like Sarai Khola, which is situated south of Taxila, and it was excavated by M.A. Halim Saab in 1969 and 70, and the report was also published later on. Mr. Halim, he reported evidence for agriculture production and permanent habitations for the site's inhabitants. And polished sills and burnished pottery recovered from these sites have been dated from um, 3260 BC to 3000 BC. The second period at Saraihola presents a classic example of the Codigian culture, while the third level dated to 26 and 17th 100 BC clearly belongs to the Harappan culture. In Gandhara, the Harappan culture was replaced by the Gandhara grave culture or complex, which is dated from 1700 BC to 600 BC. So the major sites in Gandhara which provide evidence for the Gandhara grave culture, they include period 4 at Saraihola and Hatyala at Texala, Zarif Kuruna near the Warsak Road, Peshawar, and Temargara, Balambat, Tana, Aligrama, Liubanar, Butkara 2, all these sites situated in the Swat Valley. And apart from the cemeteries and the grave goods, they also contained very few habitation sites attributable to the Gandhara grave culture. The best examples discovered to date, they include Aligrama at Suat and Balambat at Deer and Hatyal at Texala. So the surveys and explorations by the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums under Professor Dr. Ehsan Ali brought many new sites of Gandhara grave culture, also in the Bajawar Agency, in the Chatral and Deer regions of Pakistan. So now it is generally believed that the Gandhara grave culture, it was associated with the speakers of Indo-European, and these peoples, they are believed to have introduced various artifact styles, and they were one way or another brought to Gandhara through various immigration processes from the western passes during the last quarter of the second millennium BC. And the Gandhara grave culture was followed by the Ahmenian dynasty in Gandhara, and the founder of this dynasty was Cyrus the Great, who founded it in 558 BC, and he ruled perhaps until 528 BC, and was replaced by his successor and probably his son Darius I. So under Darius I, Gandhara was incorporated as a province into the Ahmenian Empire, and research by the British Archaeological Mission to Pakistan and the Pakistan Heritage Society led to the discovery of Armenian artifacts at Agra, Banu, and many other sites such as Balahisar and Charsadda. They demonstrate that this region was a part of the Armenian Empire, and the ancient Armenian Behestun inscription also refers to this region as Gadhara, and which is perhaps a corrupted form of the Gandhara. So according to historical sources, after the Achaemenian, the region was conquered by Alexander, and the Greek army, they entered Gandhara perhaps in 327 or 326 BC, and traveled beyond it as part of his campaign, of Alexander's campaign to conquer all of the Armenian provinces, and one of them was the region of Gandhara. And there are references that Alexander divided his army into two groups when he crossed the Nawa Pass and Bajapur Agency, and one group led towards the Talash Valley and Dir, and the second one to Barikot and Swat. And the second group moved along the river Kabul to subjugate the ancient Peshawar Valley, and these two groups later on they joined at Hund, or the ancient Udbandipur, or Ohend of various scholars. Ohend or Hund is presently situated at Sawabi, and together these two groups from Hund, they crossed the river Indus and proceeded towards Takshashila, or the present Texala. So Alexander, he encountered various fires resistance, especially at Masaga, Andaka, Bazira, Ora, and Ornas, while proceeding along the Helletrates. So at first, Masaga was identified with the Kalashvili and Chatral. However, Jituchi, when he asserted that on the basis of archaeological evidences that Aligrama, located across the Swat river, represented a far better candidate. So the Greek historians then narrated that after the conquest of Bazira, Masaga was besieged. According to their statements, Masaga was situated across the river in the lap of the hills, and they also report that Ora or Urigram was successfully conquered later by Alexander's troops. Survey conducted in Chatral by the Bradford Peshawar University Mission and the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they supports the views of Jituchi and that Chatral has no evidence of Greek antiquity and therefore cannot be considered as the Masaga of Alexander. Similarly, besides Masaga, Ornas, that was also a topic of controversy, and the exact location of Ornas that was amongst the debatable topics of archaeology. So, according to Jituchi, after the conquest of Ora or Udigram, the residents of Bazira, they, along with the people of the other tribes, they fled in the dead of night after the attack of Alexander the Great, and they took shelter in the Petra or the rock, which Arianus, one of the Greek historian, he calls Ornas, a common name of any sheltered place. Sir Mark Orestein, he considers that the Ilam in Bunair was the place where the inhabitants of Bazira took shelter when they fled from their town during the Alexander attack. But he thinks that Ornas is not identified with the Ilam. Instead, Sir Orestein, he identifies Ornas with the Unasar or Pirsar to the north of Chakisar, overlooking the Indus. So Tucci differs with this contention and states that Alexander had already sent in advance a group of engineers to create a bridge crossing at Ahand or Udbandipur, situated on the right bank of the river Indus at Sawabi, and where Alexander would have met them. Then before proceeding to Ornas, Alexander soon went to Embulima, which is now identified with Ambela and Bunir, and a large amount of supplies had been stocked there and everything else that might be required. And other to prevent any attack from that side, Alexander decided to dislodge the enemy from the Petra, the Ornas, which according to Arianus was near to Embulima. Arianus further narrates that Alexander started from Embulima, encamped in a suitable place, and marched the next day to the bottom of Ornas. However, whatever the case was, both those groups of Alexander, which from the Nava Pass then marched toward their respective areas and joined each other at Hun. So from Hun they launched a new campaign towards Texela, but Ambi, ruler of Texela, he already surrendered in front of the Greek army, and he actively assisted them by contributing 5,000 troops. So supplemented with the troops of Ambi, the Greeks they further engaged Raja Porus of Jhelum in a fierce battle. Porus was defeated, arrested, and then brought before Alexander. And when the Greeks they attempted to advance beyond the Chenab, they encountered strong resistance. So in the face of this resistance, Alexander's army they fled to Rambaka, or the present-day Makran, and eventually proceeded westwards to Babylon, and where the death of Alexander occurred around 323 BC. So the Greek domains after the death of Alexander, the Greek domains in northwest India did not last for long and ended in 305 BC when Chandragupta Maurya of the Mauryan dynasty conquered all the Greek domains. So Indian territory, Indian traditions, as well as all other sources, they are absolutely silent about the Alexander's progress inside India. But Chandragupta Maurya, Maurya's conquests over the Greek administrators is mentioned in Greek records. So a treaty was signed by Chandragupta and one of the Alexander's general. So this was not the Chandragupta of the of the Gupta dynasty, but it was Chandragupta Maurya who was perhaps the founder of the Mauryan dynasty, and he was the grandfather of one of the great Buddhist king Ashoka, who is well known in history. So Chandragupta Maurya, he signed a treaty with the Alexander's generals who inherited the eastern conquests but failed to regain those located south of the Hindu Kush. So after his defeat from the hand of Chandragupta Maurya, he was compelled to sign a treaty, and this Greek general, he signed a treaty with Chandragupta Maurya, and Chandragupta Maurya, he was later on succeeded by his son Bindusara, perhaps in 297 BC. And but the real pattern of the Mauryan Empire and its climax that was occurred in the time of King Ashoka, and he was perhaps a great king. And after the Kalinga War, he embraced Buddhism, and perhaps 269 BC, but the date may be varied. And after embracing Buddhism, he became a great patron of Buddhism. He sent missionaries from his capital city Patliputra, the present Patna in India, and these missionaries, missionaries were sent in various directions of the old world, and the purpose of those missionaries was to propagate the Buddhist faith. Singalisi Chronicle, they record that the Mahavamsa indicate that a Buddhist ascetic whose name was Madhyantika, he was sent by Ashoka to Gandhara around 256 BC. And Buddhist literary accounts and epigraphical records, they identified the lands of Gandhara, Mansehra, Taxila, Shahbazguri, Kandahar and Lagman as parts of the Mauryan Empire. And the Buddhist establishment at Taxila, such as Dharmarajika, Jamalgadi and Mardan and Budkaravan and Suwad, they are good examples of the sites associated with the Mauryan Empire. And after the Mauryans, one of the Greek general named Didotus, he founded a Bactrian Greek dynasty around 250 or 245. Some scholars suggest the date 255 BC for his establishment of the Bactrian Greek dynasty in Bactria. And Bactria was located on the bank of river Oxus, and now it is identified with the Balkh region of Afghanistan. And later these Bactrians, they under their king Demetrius I, they led the foundation of Indo-Greek dynasty when they conquered Gandhara region and replaced Mauryans here around 190 BC. And then they founded their capital perhaps at Pushkalavati, and the present Balahisar site, that is a major candidate city of the Greek capital. And Dani, Professor Ahmad Hassan Dani, he suggests that Menander, he led the foundation of the Greek cities of Pushkalavati and such a perhaps at Shekhanderi and Taxila at Sirkab. And it is confirmed from the discovery of coins of the Greek rulers from these sites, and perhaps these were the major cities of the Greek rule in Gandhara. The Indus Greeks are Indo-Greeks. The term Indus Greeks are Indus Scythians are Indus Parthians. That was used by Professor Ahmad Sandani, as these people ruled most of the Indus, or most of the areas of the Indus, so that's why he coined the term Indus Greeks or Indus-Scythians or Indus-Parthians for these people. So the Indo-Greeks, they ruled over Gandhara for about 100 years or more, and the they strengthened the region politically, and also established various cities at the different localities, such as at Sirkap, Texla, Balahisar, and Shekhanderi, at Charsadda. And the famous Greek king Menander, he was converted to Buddhism, and Nagasena, he was the Buddhist monk who converted him to Buddhism, and Menander, perhaps later on, he elected a stupid Pajava regency for the propagation of Buddhism. And recent excavations at Aziz Deri, Sawabi, they led to the discovery of Greek coins from the Menander's reign, and these coins are discovered from the lower stratas, from the levels below the Indo-Scythians, and it confirms the existence of the Greeks on the Aziz Deri side before the arrival of Indo-Scythians. And hopefully further excavation in future, they will further enhance our knowledge about the Indus Greeks, Indo-Scythians, Indo-Parthians, and other dynasties who ruled Gandhara, and it will be possible by excavating various important archaeological sites situated in Gandhara, and also by adding new site and exploring new sites in the region. And after the Indus Greeks or Indo-Greeks comes the rule of Shakas or Indo-Scythians. So Shaka was the term used for these people by the Chinese, and the Indo-Scythians, they perhaps started their rule in Gandhara around 90 BC, and they re-established the Indus Greek cities according to their own traditions, and consequently coins of the Indo-Scythian king Aziz I and Aziz II, they have been recovered from various sites situated in Gandhara, such as Texela and Balahisar, Charsadda, and Shekhanderi, also situated in Charsadda, and Aziz Deri and Sawabi. And recently coins of this ruler have also been reported from the archaeological site situated at Hayatabad, Phase 5. It is now believed that Shaka, they first appeared at Texela, and the founder ruler of this dynasty was Mavis, or he is also mentioned by the name Moga. He started his rule around 90 BC. However, the conquest of the Scythians in Gandhara and the accession of Aziz I did not occur until some 30 years later. Mavis, he started his rule in 90 BC, but he was dethroned around 75 BC, and the Indo-Scythian rule was interrupted by the Greek invasion at Texela, and it was regained under the reign of Mavis' successor, Aziz I. And Aziz I, the reigning period of this king is considered 57 BC, or some scholars, they are of the view that he started ruling around 47 BC. And coins recovered from various sites during the course of surveys and excavation, so they mostly derived from the reigns of such Indo-Scythian rulers, and the names of these rulers are Mavis, Aziz, Azizis, and Aziz II. So the sequence of the Indo-Scythian kings, they may be Mavis, Aziz I, followed by Aziz II, and Aziz, Azizis, and Aziz the second. So after the Indo-Scythians, the Indo-Parthians, they conquered Gandhara, and Professor Dani, he used the term Indus-Parthians for these people, and Perhaps the Indo-Parthians, they invaded from Iran, and they established themselves in Gandhara. One of the uh, important ruler of this dynasty was Gundhafaris, but there are four rulers of who use the title Gundhafaris instead of their real names. The Indo-Parthians, they reorganized the Indus-Scythian or the Indo-Scythian cities and employ an array of improvements and innovations in both art and architecture in these cities. So in this regard, it should be noted that an inscription of the Indo-Parthian king Gundhafaris that is found at Tahtbai, and it is dated to the 1st century AD, and it suggests that he was responsible for the construction of most of the sites situated in Gandhara. However, presently scholars, they are of the view that the inscription belonged to one of the Indo-Parthian king whose name is now known as Sasan, and he was also one of the four rulers who used the term or the title Gundhafaris for himself. So Gundhafaris, he also made improvement to many cities, and those cities included the construction of a palace at Paris, at Sirkap, at Texla. The Indo-Parthians' presence in Gandhara is further confirmed by the accounts of Saint Thomas, and he claims that Gundhafaris ruled for about 26 years, and the probable date of his rule is now considered as from AD 22 AD 46. And it is equally interesting to make a claim here that the Indo-Parthians and later the Sasanians, they were responsible for the introduction of the fire altar on coins as well as on the Buddhist sculptures of Gandhara. After the Indo-Parthians comes the rule of the Kushans, and I have also mentioned the historical background of the Kushan in my previous video. However, a brief introduction will be provided here. The Kushan, they in their earliest sources are mentioned as Yujis, and who started their rule from the northwest provinces or regions of China, and later on they reached Bactria, and they are divided into 5 tribes, and Kui Shuang was one of those 5 tribes, and who later on subjugated the 4, and the leader of this tribe, Kujula Phases, he consolidated a great empire which is now known as the Kushan, and Kushan is perhaps derived from the name of the tribe, Kui Shuang. So they outstayed the Shakas from Central Asia and followed Indo-Parthians here in the Gandhara region. So in this process, they were initially confined to an area in Afghanistan, but later on they expanded their empire to Gandhara and further to Sindh and also to India. And I have also shown in my previous video lecture the chronology and the historical background of the Kushans. So here I want to summarize my this topic and skip the Kushans from the historical background of Gandhara. After the Kushans, the Kushano-Sasanian phase started. Kushano-Sasanian, they were actually those kings who ruled the territories of the Kushan rulers, but on behalf of the Sasanians. So Ardashir first, he was the founder of the Sasanian dynasty, and when they conquered the Kushan territory, so they appointed um, vassal kings in these regions who ruled on behalf of the Sasanians. And the names of these kings, they are Peroz I, Hormizd I, Hormizd II, and Peroz the second. And these rulers, they are mostly identified from their coins. And later on, Gandhara was detached and came under the direct control of Shapur II of the Sasanian dynasty. And according to numismatic evidences and epigraphic records, he carried expeditions against the later Kushans and Gandhara. And Hephthalites are the Huns in Bactria. So he was able to subjugate later Kushans, and in Bactria he also came into conclusion with the Hephthalites and recognized his supremacy over these kingdoms. And during his east expeditions, Shapur II, he replaced the Kushan kings, and a new line of rulers appeared on the land of Gandhara, named as the Khetharites. And the new ruling dynasty perhaps ruled Gandhara and also parts of the Punjab. And after the Khetharites, around the mid of the 4th century AD, a group of Chinese who are known as the Huns or White Huns, or sometimes Hephthalites or Hayatilas, mentioned in the account of Al-Biruni. So they devastated Gandhara civilization, and they also attacked India. But in India, they were resisted by the Gupta ruler Skanda Gupta, and later on the Hun kings Turaman and his successor Mehergul, they captured a large part of India, and also of Gandhara. And it is said that perhaps the Huns, they have devastated more than 1000 stupas or Buddhist establishments in Gandhara. And like the Mauryans, the Guptas, they were also local Indian rulers, and whose long rule lasted from perhaps 290 to a 575. However, the dates may vary. And then come the reign of the Turkshahis, and they were followed by the Hindu Shahis. And the Hindu Shahis, they were replaced by the Ghaznavids around the end of the 9th century AD. And with that, the era of the pre-Islamic dynasties end. And Muhammad bin Qasim, he invaded Sindh around 712 AD, and several of other conquests also occurred in this time.